Take Blaire White, for example. She is a trans woman, albeit a conservative one. Blaire throws trans people under the bus.
Really? I'm throwing you under the bus? I couldn't lift you if I tried.
Blaire White is what you get when you have a trans woman who's trying to keep her male privilege. That's what happened right there.
Trans Republican.
Oh! I wonder what it'd be like to make money off of like the far right and telling people that trans people are bad.
Oh! Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are reacting to Monkeys on Meth. Oh, sorry. Reacting to trans TikTokers who hate me. That's today's video. Maybe we'll do that one next week. I don't know. We're actually reacting to various trans TikTokers, some whose faces may be unfortunately quite familiar to you.
Trans Republican.
Oh! Also some lesser known creators who just have a really big issue with me, despite the fact that there are perhaps some other issues that could be prioritized, as again, you'll see. Let's just get into it. I hope none of them outsmart me. So first up.
All right. Blaire White, message for you. And everybody else, actually. Blaire White is what you get when you have a trans woman who's trying to keep her male privilege. That's what happened right there. I think she's special. No, sweetie. Sit down.
What does that mean? A trans woman trying to keep my male privilege? Are you literally talking about a penis? You know, I see that you have a really big problem with me, right? I would suggest perhaps addressing other problems, some of them which are quite literally elephants in the room, starting with the Party City wig, starting with the unit, right? I just feel like if I was rocking that kind of a unit, I would maybe not get on camera criticizing people. I just wouldn't have the goal. I wouldn't have the desire, first of all, because I'd be very depressed that that unit was in fact on my head. And I definitely wouldn't have the bravery. Just setting myself up for that. But the only reason I'm even talking about your wig is because I have no idea what you mean by your actual argument, if we can call it that. Trying to keep my male privilege. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it slaps if you're retarded. So this is the one that everyone has been sending me this week because Lily Tino, you know, the infamous pregnant trans person who like goes and harasses service industry workers and gets rage bait content.
Thank you. I'm not sir. Can you call me sir? I just want to tell you that the person who gave me this called me sir. I use she, her pronouns. I'm not sir. Yeah, like it's like a knife in the heart. I did specifically ask ahead of time not to be called sir.
And makes videos about being in bathrooms with little girls.
I was just in the women's room at a cheesecake factory. And when I walked in, there was this little girl, like 3 years old, tops.
And has accusations against them for sexual misconduct. And you know, that scary one. This one had the nerve to make a video about me this week, so that's what everyone's sending me, so we're gonna react. In the movies, we see people betray their own kind all the time, but sadly, it's also happening in the trans community. Take Blaire White, for example. This video is sponsored by June's Journey. June's Journey is a captivating hidden object mystery game set in the glamorous 1920s. The game features a diverse cast of characters and a thrilling mystery story that follows June Parker on her quest to solve her sister's murder and uncover her family's hidden secrets. With each new scene, you will dive deeper into the mystery. In addition to the main storyline, you can decorate your own island, participate in special events to earn rewards, and join a club to play with friends and other players. In the game, you solve crimes and mysteries, but you also explore themes like family and motherhood, relationships, loves, betrayal, social injustice, and so much more. The story evolves constantly, and new chapters are launched every week. So it's great because you can find something new in the game every day. And let's talk about the protagonist, the main character, June Parker. She's smart and independent, and she doesn't have access to a badge, to police files, or a forensic lab, so she ends up solving the crimes with her social and emotional intelligence and her ability to improvise on the spot for a solution. I feel like she's kind of like me. She's confident and clever, but she also has a stubborn side, and she's just a really dynamic character. I know you're gonna love this game, so why don't you download it for free from the link in my description, or you can scan the QR code somewhere on the screen. June's Journey is available on iOS and Android and also PC. So thank you to June's Journey for sponsoring this video, and now onto the video.
She is
That's a
a
cute picture.
trans woman, albeit a conservative one. But instead
So
of
is that one.
advocating for change or pushing people to be more accepting with her very large platform, Blaire throws trans people under the bus in order to be seen.
Really? I'm throwing you under the bus. I couldn't lift you if I tried. No one's moving you. You're planted. One thing about it, when you're talking about our own kind, right? Our kind, us, I have nothing in common with you. Quite literally, I don't even think you are actually transgender. And so, the things that you and I have in common, the list is smaller than your IQ. I will say, this is actually a very nice video. Y'all said it was a hate video. I'm actually very relieved and flattered that you would create distance between us even more than there already is for anybody that has, you know, eyes to see, ears to hear, right? Skin to shiver in fear when they see your ass. I'm glad that you're distancing yourself because this is only a good look for me and other transsexuals who want nothing to do with you, which is like almost all of them. Like I've seen people roasting you, trans people roasting you on TikTok way more than I do, first of all. Nobody thinks you're like an okay specimen. Nobody thinks that your presence is in any way kosher on that ass, okay? And by the way, it's not enough you gotta harass people in restaurants. You're up in a movie theater with a ring light on your phone recording and talking. You are just a pest. A whole pest. Trans or not, can you just not be ghetto in the movie theater?
As one of the good ones by conservatives. For example, Blaire is on the record saying that trans kids don't exist.
There is no such thing as a transgender child. And
Period. Period. I'm not just standing on that. I'm sitting on that. I'm relaxing on that. I'm chilling. Because I agree with that. Not only is there now an actual pretty sizable divide in the actual trans community on if children transitioning is good or bad, when there used to be just unanimous, everyone's for it, the world has really come to understand that this is like some barbarian shit. You're a barbarian. And advocating for that, and just existing the way in which you do, right? Existing in the context that you do, right? That's just not okay. But also supporting these things out loud as a trans influencer, again, please create more distance. Please. That is such a worse look. Y'all lost yourselves the election. You took back actual trans acceptance to like the gutter. Like the gutter. And you still want to be up here on camera acting like your ideas have not already been found out as fake as hell. Like you. Quite fraudulent. And I'm sorry if I'm crashing out a little bit, but I really do just feel like as long as there are people like Lily Tino, like the feeling is mutual. For you to act like my existence is just so freakish and so crazy because I have different opinions than you, I feel like your existence is actually one of the main things setting trans bitch back. I feel like as long as there is the example of you and some other people like you out there, trans acceptance is going nowhere. Sometimes I literally just think about how like psychotic it is to be part of, even though I don't consider myself part of it, to be like in a group of people that you get called out for being normal. Like you get called out for just having like standard opinions, like don't sterilize kids. That's the thing that gets you the out group, the outcast status in that group. And that's just like really demented. It's like, oh, I don't think like women should beat men should beat women's asses in sports. I don't think kids should be sterilized. Like, I know it's like the same song and dance we've been talking about here for so long on this channel, but sometimes I actually stop and think about it and I'm like, what is going on? What is that? It gives complete cult. It gives like, what's the name of that cult where they drank the Kool-Aid or whatever?
Oh, Heaven's Gate?
Devil's Gate, Hell's Gate with these ones, because it's like that. And it is actually fascinating how, per usual, they don't actually like debate what I say in the clip that they use. They just paint it as like, this is what a bad person says. This is what a bad person says. It's never like she's wrong because, it's more like she's a bad person.
child. And I say that as a transgender adult.
Which is simply not true. And if
Why?
you're thinking that that's a weird take for a trans person to
See, and then just move on. Why? Why is it a weird take? Moving on.
I agree with you. Her being trans gives the take some weird legitimacy so that conservatives can point to it and say, hey, look at this, even a trans person.
God forbid I'm speaking in a way that's legitimate. I'm giving legitimacy to the topic. Holy shit. This is what I mean. This is the inversion. She's talking in a way that just makes her seem legitimate. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. And I know in particular for you, Lily, you definitely think a little more with the downstairs than the upstairs. I've seen that. We've all seen that. But every once in a while, maybe just run the equation through your brain a little bit. So far, Blaire White's a bad person because she's against kids being sterilized and because she comes across as legitimate.
A trans person thinks that trans people are crazy. Now, it's worth pointing out the irony that the conservatives who use Blaire as ammunition against the trans community will never accept Blaire as a woman. Deep down, Blaire understands this, but she just doesn't care.
That's actually true. I actually don't care at all who thinks of me as a woman or not. I really don't care. Like, I don't care if the last thing that a conservative says before they lay their head down at night, they say their prayers and then the prayer's over, they have one last thing to say mentally to themselves, Blaire White is a man. I don't care if every single one of them did that. And I don't care that people like you will say that I'm a woman because I'm a woman, because I'm a woman, because I'm a woman. Like, I actually don't care. And since Lily Tino is reporting live from another business, I will give you some of my business right now. I will spill a little tea on some behind the scenes stuff if you want to know a little bit about conservative media, right-wing media, and all the pundits. I have legitimately never, ever, ever met a single one. Think of the most anti-trans, least likely to be pro-trans, I will never use pronouns, ass Republican. Picture that one in your head, and I guarantee you I've probably also met them. I have never been called he by a single one. And it's not because they avoid using pronouns, it's because they say she every time. And I don't really care because at the end of the day, the entire argument over pronouns, y'all are the ones that created that. Pronouns are, when they're not being politicized, just subconscious words we speak when we interact with people. No one's running the gamut in their brain at every person they see to figure out if they're a male or female first and wonder about pronouns. They just subconsciously see a person, and if it looks like a woman, it looks like a woman, it's a she, and vice versa for he. That's actually how pronouns work. So the only one making some retarded, convoluted mess out of it is y'all, and now the conservatives in a lot of ways. But that's the point, because when you don't politicize pronouns, people aren't even tempted to misgender you. But you actually have to also transition. So, that's a hard one for a lot of people who call themselves trans now.
Is this post FFS?
Is it what?
Is this post FFS? Lily got FFS.
Lily got... How?
I don't know. I'm dead ass.
Really?
Lily got FFS, and they were...
When?
They were sharing the before and after pictures on X, and it was...
But this was posted like 3 days ago, so this has to be after that. I will get a refund.
Her a free pass from harassment and discrimination in return for selling out her own people.
You are not my people. I swear to God, you are not my people. First of all, not on a physical level, not on a mental level, not on a spiritual level, especially. I'm actually on the opposite end of devilry. Y'all want to talk about a gender spectrum? Okay. A spiritual spectrum of devilry to doing my best to serve the light at all times while falling short. It's a long jump, right? And I know, Lily, that you are in altercations constantly, right? You're just always up in some drama in a restaurant, getting harassed, unfortunately, by some less than minimum wage waitstaff. And then you have to expose them, and it's the whole process. But I actually promise you, another behind the scenes of Blaire's life, right? A little BTS. I have never in my life had anybody be transphobic if that constitutes like calling me a tranny, calling me a man, like telling me get the fuck out because of this, like telling me whatever, I actually think it hasn't happened a single time in my life. I'm like struggling to think of a time.
With Candace, but we like.
But that was okay. But I'm talking about real life. That's still internet. Like that was, we're filming a video for the internet, and so people can try to frame it as me like thinking I'm like better than someone because I am able to exist in the world in a way that's like respectful of other people, like bare minimum type stuff, like coming out the caveman and cavewomen, like just getting out the cave with that like basic respect stuff. Just because you're not capable of that, and why unfortunately the trans community is capable of that kind of sparingly, which we have to work on. And that's actually the entire purpose of why I started talking about this topic, because I'm actually trying to raise the vibration a bit in the trans community, like just a bit. I don't get harassed by women. I don't get harassed by even other trans people. I don't get harassed by men. Although this might be the closest I've come to feeling harassed by a man in a while, I have to be so honest.
I'm a trans girl. Of course I'm gonna want representation in the media. Just not by Blaire White. I'm a trans girl. Of course I've had to learn that gay men shouldn't be my type. I'm a trans girl. Of course I raise the pitch of my voice around people who could be conservative.
Ooh. Ooh. That was like painfully awkward.
The voice thing?
Oh my God. I mean, I'm looking at pain for sure. I'm definitely looking at pain. I'm looking at something that has convinced you, going along with your little line, of course I want representation, just not Blaire White. Then who's doing it right? Excluding you, because that's a given. We're at zero with you, right? It's giving actually nothing. So other than me, who's like doing it right? Lily Tino from the video before? Have you made a we don't like Lily Tino video, or just fix your little TikTok fingers to do a we don't like Blaire White video? Because she's like normal. That's the craziest part. That's the craziest part. And it's weird to be like the crazy person of a group like this, because all it is just like level normal shit that I think. Like the entire rest of the population, basically, except this small trans community, thinks mostly in line with the way I do. And even the ones who disagree, if you were to give them the actual facts, I think most people would land pretty much where I do. Which is leave kids alone, adults do your thing, but be fucking respectful. That's really the overall message of this channel. And so if that's not something you want representing you, which first of all, I don't represent you, you're right. I'm representing me, and to the best of my ability, God. You, we can talk about what deities are circulating you. We can talk about that. But instead of going there, I would just, offer a little bit of an encouragement for some self-awareness, for some sobriety, if that's what's actually clogging the vision here. If it's just drugs, okay, stop those. But if it's just that you're mistaken, I beg you to look around at any other trans representation and tell me what they are doing positive. Like what gains are being made. Because y'all maybe were able to say this in 2016, 2017 when I wasn't, had a big of a platform, and maybe I was a bit early on certain topics. But what have I ever been wrong about? What have I ever even said was going to come to pass and didn't? What have I ever actually lost a debate about when it comes to trans issues specifically? Nothing. So ask yourself why maybe society isn't exactly being won over by people like Lily Tino, you, Jeffrey Marsh. Who's really doing it? Who are we looking for here? Dylan Mulvaney. Oh yeah, Dylan has made such great strides for the trans community. I would actually attribute like 30% of the crash to that hoe. And there's a video of Dylan later in this video. But I guess if there was just like anyone else doing anything productive, you would have an argument, but there's not.
The good news is, nigga, you came a long way. The bad news is, nigga, you went the wrong way. The good news is, nigga, you came a long way. The bad news is, nigga, you went the wrong way.
When I'm watching some of these TikToks, I feel like I'm watching the most awkward scene on Love on the Spectrum. If you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. And you're mad that someone's saying they like trans people and their frame of reference of that is me. That's probably a really cool person, I have to say. That's probably like a completely normal person who is more than willing to accept and engage with a trans person, and you're online bitching about it. It's crazy how the fucking goal is like, we gotta get acceptance, which is really just a broader term for make people like us. And this person's like saying it's wrong to like trans people if the reason is Blaire White. That's just so sick and twisted. You are twisted. And also, this one did have FTM in the tag, so this is a trans man. How about you act like one and stop attacking a woman on the internet? Bitch.
Blaire White is gonna say one thing.
She definitely does have some like really weird like I'm nurturing to the conservative. Like I understand the fillers have feminized your face, but I'm post-op boots. Like I know a thing or two.
She
I
fart?
know a podcast with her. Yes. I was shady to her.
Where? When?
I called her Claire.
Where?
I kind of feel bad about
Where?
that.
Where did you
No,
go?
I don't.
Where was that?
I don't care.
Where was?
No, Trevor talking about. I don't know why all the girls hate me. I'm
And-
like,
and-
well, yes,
and
you,
all this-
yes, you do.
First of all, Xanax is a hell of a drug. Xanax is a hell of a drug. I have to just say that. And second of all, I felt like I was listening to a different language that entire time. I actually feel like I only understood like 3 words. And it wasn't even just the slurring. It was like, here's my hot take, my controversial take. This is a bit touchy, and this may upset some people. Do I care? Not really. I don't care who's mad, get so mad. I think there is an actual IQ problem in the trans community. Actually, I'm going to broaden it. In the broader LGBT community, I think it's not that we don't have some brilliant gays, right? We've had those. We have one brilliant trans. Just kidding, there's a few others. But it's like the curve is just... And I don't know if it's the literal drug use problem we have in the LGBT community, for which it's a big problem. And I know that that can actually dampen your IQ as well, permanently. If that's the case, okay. But I'm wondering, is it a factor of their birth? Were they in fact born this way? Like the song. But you know, I do remember going on a podcast with this one. This one was correct. And I think it was years ago, but it's fine. I don't actually remember you. I don't have any beef with you. And unlike your voice, it's really not that deep.
Trans Republican.
Oh!
Hello, Hollywood.
I wonder what it'd be like to make money off of like the far right and telling people that trans people are bad.
There's such a weird trans influencer pipeline to being conservative. Because at a certain point, they've mined all of the stuff that they can talk about. So then they go, I guess I'm now far right. And it's crazy.
Yes.
There's all these dolls on the internet who are like, I have guns. And it's like, what are you doing?
First of all, did they say my name? No. But I'm including it because who the fuck else could they be talking about? Because there's just such a plethora of right-wing trans women who post with guns. There's just such a plethora that like it'd be crazy for me to take this personally, right? Right. Dylan, I wonder what it would be like to make money off of telling the right wing blah blah blah. Dylan, I wonder what it would be like to make money doing the shit you do.
Here goes nothing. It's pink, it's kind of adorable, and it kind of looks like a butter churn.
I genuinely could never sink to such a low. The clownery is like, we need a different word for clown. It's like, clowns have much more dignity. I respect the behaviors of actual clowns more than yours. I really thought, call me white-pilled. Call me a high hoper, right? Call me Delulu. I thought that after the election, and trans people had their ass handed to them so hard with a complete rejection of all of the things that they're fighting for. Like, I thought that maybe there would be like some self-reflection where people are like, you know what, maybe like it's that we're crazy. But that's like never what crazy people do. So for me to actually assume that was wrong on my part. And for the big one to say, you know, I guess it's because once you mine all the content you can make and you run out of all the ideas, then you're far right. you can tell that these are like not meaningless people, but people without meaning, right? Like people with no purpose, people with no real convictions, because normal people's political views and opinions and ways of being are not dictated by an algorithm and like milking ideas until something works. That's what you guys do, right? That's why the theater kid thing didn't work out. So then the gay kid thing maybe worked out a little bit, but not enough for Dylan. And then it was non-binary, and then it was trans, and then it was day 666 of being a woman, right? Maybe that is how you guys operate. Like, let me just try to be all these different types of people and say all these different types of things and give these different opinions until something works. But I've been that far right tranny. Far right. But I've been me since day one, actually. I have always firmly been on one side of the political aisle. I don't milk a bunch of different ideas. I'm not a fucking libertarian and then a leftist and then I'm actually just assessing the world based on how I'm assessing it, right? And that's the bigger picture, is like all these words, Republican, conservative, far right, whatever the fuck, like those are group labels, but then there's also the separate process of like, I am genuinely assessing the world in this way. I'm seeing what works and what doesn't, and these are my takes. That's different, and that's something y'all are not actually capable of. Circling back to the clownery, by the way, it's just so interesting because you present this situation, Dylan, like I'm a dancing monkey for Republicans or something, when in fact, you are a dancing monkey for all the entities controlling you, making sure that you're on the view, making sure that you're portraying a certain image of trans. An image that's really fucked up, that's really embarrassing, that's really cringe, and seems almost abusive towards you to even put you out there the way that your handlers have put you out there.
Day 3 of being a girl, and I've already become a bimbo.
I'm not paid by anybody. I'm not owned by anybody. You are. And that's clear. And that's fine. And that's everyone's bag and everyone's path is different. But for you to sit up here and act like you have not been like the number one contributor to people disliking trans people more. Like, genuinely, your presence, not just the Bud Light thing, but like your presence, Dylan, has created more transphobia than I've actually ever seen in my life. I remember the turning. Spring 2023 or whatever, early summer that you did the Bud Light thing. It was like all of a sudden, people who didn't even have an opinion on trans were walking in hot, just only seeing you. And it was embarrassing. It was a really bad look. No one is particularly proud of it, right? It's just the lack of self-awareness from these, especially the bigger trans influencers. It's like, if you guys are influencing anything, we can see the results, right? We can see the results of the kind of society you created around trans people, the types of moods and attitudes and opinions towards trans people that were never so unanimously negative. The amount of just like regular women on the internet that I see commenting on just say a random video you pops up or something about you, the amount of comments from just regular women who are like, I never had any issues with trans people and now I feel like I'm being mocked. I feel like I'm being ridiculed, or I feel like this is like woman face. Like, congrats to you for the creation of the term woman face, because I never heard that shit in my life. And now that's something that all of trans people are in a way taking on because of you. If we really want to analyze it and have a discussion, if we want to compare societal harm against trans people, what have I done? I feel like if I was just like a random person in the trans community and I was looking at like Dylan Mulvaney and Blaire White, I might not like Blaire White. People don't like trans people because of Dylan Mulvaney. People, if anything, the craziest, most hardcore right-wing motherfucker, oftentimes you will see, I don't like trans people, but Blaire White's okay. And I'm sorry, that can seem like a shallow thing, but at least they have one, right? At least there's like one figure humanizing trans people to these people who otherwise are like, ew, fuck that. That is called a net positive. It's a very small one, and that's how bleak the situation is because of you guys. But you get what I'm saying? Would you rather have one or zero? I don't know. That Days of Girlhood shit. That Days of Girlhood shit was literally like the trans apocalypse.
Yeah.
All right, I'm tapped out. This one was just so annoying. Follow me on this channel. Subscribe to me on this channel, rather. Ew, I'm a YouTuber. Subscribe. Follow me, though, on X and Instagram and TikTok. And subscribe to my second channel, my podcast channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys. And thank you again to June's Journey for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you guys go download it in the link in the description.